Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at the Rough Country forged upper control arms for lifted 2007 to 2016 Silverado 1500s. Before we dive in too deep here, I want to take a moment to discuss that fitment. Again, these are made for lifted trucks only, specifically 2007 to 2016 Silverado 1500s with a 2.5 up to a 3.5 inch lift, and also 2007 to 2013 Silverado 1500s with a 7 inch lift. Anything outside of those, including a stock ride height truck, you're gonna need a different setup. These are also not gonna fit on trucks that had factory stamped steel knuckles or control arms. But if your truck fits into those other categories, then stick with me here because these are actually pretty cool. Now, lifting your truck can put some excess wear and tear on crucial suspension components. So if you've got a lifted truck, upgrading or replacing worn out stock control arms is a good idea for ride quality, maintaining the cool lifted looks, and making sure your truck performs and drives how it's supposed to. Now, these are gonna be the perfect replacement upgrade from your stock control arms. They're durable, serviceable, and affordable, and a definite improvement for your lifted truck. The first and perhaps the most important thing that you'll notice right out of the gate here is the increased ball joint angle, which of course is going to help accommodate for that extra lift versus stock. Now, this extra angle allows for a greater range of motion out on the street or trail. So if you're off-roading, there's no need to worry about that additional travel that's needed, as these are going to accommodate for the extra articulation. Now, since these are set up for lifted applications, this is also going to remove much of the hassle of getting your truck aligned, as it's going to keep things pretty close to the factory suspension geometry since you've got that angle here. Now, these are also forged for strength and durability, so as you can see, there are no welds on here. So it's a much lower chance of anything breaking, as you don't have any weak points or joints in here. You also get brand new Clevite brand OEM style rubber bushings at the top on the mounting points here, and new ball joints on each. Now, the ball joints are greasable, so that makes them not only serviceable, but also easy to do, and they provide a long life. Now, having both of these included right out of the box means that install is, one, much easier for you because you pull them out of the box looking just like this. And it's also gonna refresh the ride quality on your truck too, since you've got all new bushings in here and that new ball joint. Now, construction here again is all forged aluminum for the arms themselves. Again, it's gonna make them really strong, lightweight, and durable. And like I mentioned a moment ago, being forged means that you don't have any joints or welds here that could break. Bushings and the mounting points again are Clevite rubber, and those ball joints have polyoxymethylene or POM, and again, they're greasable, so it's gonna make for an extremely low friction coefficient, meaning both should have a long life and provide smooth operation for a long time to come. Now, pricing comes in at around $350, making them the least expensive option in the category as far as these aftermarket control arms go. Now, these may not have all the bells and whistles and the adjustability of some of the more expensive options, but they are good quality, they're strong, and they're gonna be an effective and worthwhile mod if you've got a lifted truck. Installation will come in at a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and doing both should take you about 2 hours. Now, this isn't a terribly complicated process, but you do have to get in there, move some suspension bits around, and if you've ever had to separate stubborn old ball joints before, you know that can be a pain. But not to fear, this is definitely a job that you can still handle at home. One thing to make note of though is that you should absolutely plan on getting your truck aligned properly once you've got these in, because again, you are changing around some of the suspension geometry to how it's been driving. And to show you that install process now, let's throw it over to one of our AT customers.
Before we get today's installation video started, we will be needing quite a few tools. You'll need a 21mm wrench, a 15mm wrench, an 18mm wrench, a 1/2 inch ratchet, torque wrench, 21mm socket, 15mm socket, 7/8mm impact socket. Impact, not required, but it'd be helpful. If you don't have that, you'll need a breaker bar, hammer, jackson, and jack. One thing I would like to say about this repair is once you do your repair, you will need a new alignment done. It will mess up your alignment. That's just normal. It's good to get your alignment done anyway. I also forgot to add on that you will be needing a 10mm socket and ratchet for that. Today we're going to be working on this 2014 Chevy Silverado. We're going to be putting some Rough Country 2.5 to 3.5 inch lift upper control arms To start, we're going to need to jack the vehicle up, and you're going to want to put the jack stand on the frame. Doing this so will relieve the front suspension of any stress or weight, which will be easier for us working on it. After we get the vehicle jacked up in the air, we're going to need to take off the front wheels. You're going to take your 7/8 socket and impact or breaker bar, whatever tools you have to take these off. Now we're going to remove the tire from the vehicle, and we're going to move it out of the way. Next up, we're going to need to take off the brake line bracket on the control arm. If you want to come zoom in a little bit closer. This specific truck didn't have one, the bolt, because it was zip tied beforehand. But there's going to be a 10mm bolt. You're going to want to take this bolt out, and then it loosens up. You see where it goes in right there. Next up, we're going to put our jack underneath the lower control arm. We're not gonna jack it up too much, we're just gonna put a little bit of support on it. Just like that. Next up, we're gonna take a 17mm wrench, and down over here, under your upper control arm, you're gonna have a bolt. We're gonna wanna start loosening that off. So we're gonna wanna keep loosening this bolt here until where you have a gap, but you don't want to pull it all the way off, because when we hammer this here, your ball joint's going to want to pop off, and you're going to want to keep this on here so it doesn't come all the way off. Next up, once we got that loosened, we're going to take a hammer, and you're going to want to hit not on the upper control arm or the ball joint, but on the metal hub around it. Next up, we're going to take our 21mm wrench. We're going to want to secure this side of the bolt there. And at the same time, we're going to start taking this nut off over here. We're not going to take them out all the way yet. We're going to roll over to the next side. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. Now we're going to finish taking out this ball joint. We'll do this by loosening the nut at the bottom of it. And you're going to do that with your 18mm wrench. So now that we have the nut off of the bottom, we can then hold the hub, we can pull our ball joint up and control arm, and we can move this to the side. You want to make sure it's not too tight. When you let go, it's not putting any stress on your brake lines or wires. If it is, you can put a zip tie between here and your sway bar to hold it back. So now we're going to finish taking off our upper control arm. You're going to put your 20mm wrench at the end of this and your socket, and we're going to continue taking it off. Now at this point, we're going to remove our camber plates. This side's right off. And then we're going to want to push this back into here. So one issue we ran into when we try and slide it out, our bolt hits on the spring. So what we're going to have to do is there's 3 bolts at the top of your shocks. You will have to take these all out. They're going to be 18mm. We're going to loosen them all out, and then that gives our shock some play, and hopefully we can get it out. We're going to start removing these 3 bolts. It may take a little force to get them broke loose at first. All right, so now that our 3 bolts are out, we're gonna go down here, we're gonna drop the jack so it relieves the pressure off the top and the whole assembly will slide down. We're gonna need to take off our sway bar link. We're gonna use a 15mm on top and then it's another 15 at the bottom. We're gonna start loosening that off. If you do have an impact, it makes this a lot easier. And then this will slide right out the bottom. You're gonna wanna make sure to not lose any of these components. Once we've dropped our sway bar, this allows us to have this assembly drop down farther where we can pull our shock out of the way. Go ahead and drop the jack. So now that our spring is out of the way, we're able to slide our bolts out. We're gonna pull that bolt out. We're gonna continue taking off this bolt here. We're gonna lightly influence it out. Have to do some wiggling, but sure enough it'll come right out. Now that we have our bolts removed, we can simply wiggle our control arm out. While you're down here, it's always important to make sure you have your pins installed. My truck was missing some from a previous shop who broke them off, so I went ahead and installed some new pins on the inside of them. So now we're going to slide our new Rough Country upper control arm in. Going to slide our bolts back in. Now we're going to take our camber plate and our bolt and we're going to slide it right in. Be sure to get your bolt into the get your camber plate into the pin. When you're installing your camber plate, you'll see there are little notches and dots and lines. We're gonna wanna make sure that is facing out, so when someone's doing the alignment, they can tell what notch they're on. And you're just going to thread that on. Make sure it's just hand tight, that's all we need, because we still want it to move for the other side. Now, we're gonna line up our bolt and our alignment camber plate. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. Now we're gonna take our other camber plate. We're gonna make sure our lines are facing outward. There are lines here. Slide that on. Now we're gonna take our nut. We're gonna install the nut. So now we're gonna tighten up the control arm. You're gonna take your 21mm, slide it back there. It's really important to make sure your camber plates are in with your pins. All right, so now we're going to tighten it up. I'm not gonna tighten it too much just yet. We're gonna move over to this side and we're gonna tighten up this side. Move my flashlight out of the way. Now we're gonna jack our vehicle up so we can install our shock back in the holes over there. So go ahead and jack it up, really slow. Keep going. We're gonna go all the way up, make sure it's aligned up to the top where your studs come back to the top. Those nuts. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wanna pull our hub this way. Might take a little bit of force. And put your ball joint down up in there, grab control arm. Push it down, hold it. And you're gonna go get your new hardware. with our control arm installed into the hub, we're going to take our Rough Country nut that is included with it, and we're going to start threading that on. That will be a 15 millimeter, just like the old. We're just going to tighten it down. We're going to continue to tighten this down. The torque spec for this nut right here is going to be 37 foot-pounds. You're going to want to make sure that gets torqued down correctly. As for these bolts up here, there's two types of bolts. If yours were like mine, where both cam adjustment plates were separate from the bolts, that torque spec is going to be 140 foot-pounds. As for the bolts that are connected over here, if your cam plate is connected to your bolt, you have a different torque spec. I'd recommend looking that up. But as for these style bolts, it would be 140 foot-pounds. Now me personally, I'm just going to tighten these down as tight as I can get it. Now we're going to finish up tightening up our control arms. Like I said, torque spec on these would be 140 foot-pounds. We're going to continue to the other side. We're going to tighten this side down too. Now we're going to continue back up top. And remember, we need to tighten down our shock bolt. Finish tightening up these upper strut mount bolts. And when you torque these, you're going to torque them to 37 foot-pounds. Now we're going to attach our sway bar. We're going to make sure you have your nut, your little washer, the rubber piece, slides under. Sometimes you can put that under there. There should be another rubber piece here. I'm missing it. I have it on order right now. So make sure you have that there. And then you have another rubber piece there. Now yours should be a lot tighter than this because you should have a rubber piece here. Now it's time, after we double check everything on the vehicle, make sure everything is tight, we're going to bolt our wheel assembly back on. These, and the torque spec for these lug nuts would be 140 foot-pounds. Now it's time to bring our vehicle to the ground. Just jack it up on the frame. And pull our adjust. Now it's time to torque our wheel. Now it's time to start torquing. Start at the bottom of our nut. Across.
Well, that's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the Rough Country forged upper control arms for lifted 2007 to 2016 Silverado 1500s. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, for all things Silverado, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.